So if you haven't heard already, Yuzu has basically been shut down by Nintendo. So, embattled Nintendo Switch emulator Yuzu has announced today that they intend to shut down the company as one last emulation of the entire video game industry. We started this project in good faith, a statement from the company said, but we see now that if we truly want to provide gamers with the most realistic emulation possible, we need to kill what they love. Goodbye forever, everyone. The news sent shockwaves through the gaming community along with some praise. Honestly nailed it. It felt like the real thing, one social commentator wrote. Just when I started to really love the service and got used to relying on it, I hear some big business decision resulted in it being killed. This is the true gamer experience. Insiders in the company gave some insight into the logic behind their final emulation. The AAA emulation cycle is just simply too long and the economics don't work. When insiders speaking on condition of announcement said, killing it now is a tax break anyways. So, those that aren't aware of the lawsuit that dropped against Tropic Haze a few days ago was Nintendo was basically asking them for money for cracking switches open, basically loading up custom firmware, enabling piracy, and things like that. So, I'm going to actually go and pull up some of the other stuff real quick. Okay, so I could go over like the whole lawsuit, like the documentation for it, but in the end, what happened is Tropic Haze sent out a thing saying, hey, we don't need a summons, we'll show up on our own. And what ended up happening is Tropic Haze and Nintendo settled out of court so that they didn't take it to court. And there wasn't like a precedent set for it, because Tropic Haze decided it's better that we just like fold and then cease and desist all our activities so that we don't like get slammed even harder with attorney fees and things like that more than we can. So they ended up agreeing to pay $2.4 million to shut down their activity. So Nintendo and Tropic Haze filed a joint motion for the court to enter final judgment in permanent injunctions. So it's not, again, not quite final until the judge stamps on it, but they both agreed to this agreement. As a result, Yuzu team has announced their intention to shut everything down and have agreed to pay Nintendo $2.4 million in damages. As per the other document, Yuzu will also transfer the other domain used over to Nintendo, and they have agreed to delete every single thing related to Yuzu that they have. So, as noted, Yuzu was open source. So if you go and look, and this applies to Citra as well. So Citra is like vaguely mentioned briefly, but Citra and Yuzu have both been dropped pretty much. So you've got Yuzu has finally been like taken down. The website was up for a little bit. This is their statement, which is also quoted in the Gaming on Linux one. We write today to inform you that Yuzu and Yuzu's support of Citra are being discontinued effective immediately. Yuzu and its team have always been against piracy. We started the project in good faith out of passion for Nintendo and its consoles and games, and we're not intending to cause harm, but we see now that because our projects can circumvent Nintendo's technological prevention measures and allow users to play games outside of authorized hardware, they've led to extensive piracy. In particular, we've been deeply disappointed when users have used our software to leak game content prior to its release and ruin the experience for legitimate purchasers and fans. We have come to the decision that we cannot allow this to occur. Piracy was never our intention, and we believe that piracy of video games and non-video game consoles should end. Effective today, we will be pulling our code repositories offline, discontinuing our Patreon accounts and Discord servers, and soon shutting down our websites. We hope our actions will be a small step toward ending piracy of all creators' works. And yeah, so this is legal speak, like legal letter speak, with Nintendo's Glock to their head, saying, we're sorry, and don't do this, when they, again, they've announced on launch day that certain games have worked in the Yuzu emulator. Now, there comes, like, Nintendo points us out, and other people are like, well, they're showing it working hours before launch. It's like, at the same time, when you're launching a game, generally it's by the time zone that they launch. So like, for example, where I'm at in the Mountain Time Zone, it's often that when they say they're going to release a game at midnight, it's going to show up at midnight in that time zone in the physical form. So when fans show up for their physical copy of the game, they are going to show up at that time to get the game physically, and sometimes that can be before the launch of the digital version on the shop, which is much more easy to unify as one, because it makes sense. So it showing up hours before can kind of be explained away. But the only other thing is the early access builds were behind the Patreon, which becomes a problem, because you've got money connected to the project now, and people are paying money, and you get Horizon money when Tears of the Kingdom drops. But as noted, if you look for Yuzu GitHub, you're going to see the link come up, and it's going to be down. You're going to have the same thing for Citra as well. And it's going to be down. So Citra and Yuzu have both been pulled off of GitHub as far as they can. So Citra's down, Yuzu's down. But because they were open source projects, the source code is out there widely available. So we've already got like Pineapple source, which is here to allow either A, people to further develop on the 3DS emulator, and then there's also the Yuzu mirror, which is going to be really hard to pull because there are going to be a bunch of people with it. Like, it's just this simple. If you're looking to back things up, is you go git clone and then blah, you're done. So you can kill the company, but because of the nature of it being open source, you can't kill the project. So if you look at Pokemon Prism, it was initially a binary hack. Cool Boy Man gets cease and desisted, and then the Pokemon Prism ROM leaks, but on top of that, Pokemon Prism's popularity spiked because Nintendo litigated again. Then they announced a new Pokemon game, of course. So now Pokemon Prism is under continued development by Rainbow devs, but it's also a disassembly hack now because they rebased it as a disassembly. So you've got kind of these two things going on where a lot of projects that were closed sourced are no longer continued and aren't quite leaked because, well, we can't do anything about it because the source wasn't out there. Whereas if you have the source widely out there, it's much easier to continue a project, to rename it and things like that, in order to continue the life of the project under different developers. So the notable thing is that Yuzu seemed to be a full-time project. Now that's no longer the case, much like, Ship of Harkinian is a hobby project in essence. So there's no ETA, they have real lives. Other ROM hacks are a hobby project because they've got real lives. At the same time, what does this telegraph when we're looking at the projects that are being shut down by Nintendo? When AM2R was shut down, Nintendo very soon later announced a Metroid remake. Which one was it? Pokemon Uranium was shut down. They announced a new Pokemon game. So, Yuzu's being shut down, a console emulator. So that means, at least from the pattern that I've seen, is that Nintendo's telegraphing they're about to announce the next console that they're going to do. Or even a Switch update or something new related to a console. So, we'll see how long it takes for Nintendo to drop the announcement on something that they are shutting down in relation to that thing that they're about to announce. If you enjoyed the video, then like, comment, subscribe, feed the algorithm, boost the video up, share this video with your friends. If you found it informative or you just want to chat, I've got plenty of places in the description, Discord, Guilded, and what have you. Check those out, and I will see you guys in the next one.